I was born in Waterloo, Iowa. I was born in Waterloo, Iowa, but I lived about 45 minutes away in very small town Iowa, Owine, Iowa. Growing up there, I knew my grandfather was in the military, but I never had persistent military pressure to follow in footsteps or, be like Dad. And I knew a lot of guys that I was in with that had that pressure. So my pressure wasn't so much of following in footsteps, being a generational a Marine or a generational soldier. I really had, I would play war as a kid. I thought that was cool, and of course admired soldiers, Marines, and the military. I just thought that was the coolest. I remember going to an air show, gosh, I can't tell you how old I was, my mother probably could, in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. And there's air shows that I'm sure you guys have been to, which are pretty cool, but this one in particular was ginormous. I mean, huge. Hundreds of thousands of people there. And one of the planes that I saw was a C-130 and or a C-17. I can't remember which one it was. But I remember standing with my dad and looking at that plane and saying, that's what I want to do. I want to be that guy. Didn't really fulfill that, but I think what I was saying to myself was I want to do more like those guys do. I want people to come up to me and shake my hand and say, thank you for just being you. Not to do it because, for the glory, but more, the thanks for just being you. Just wanting to serve something more than yourself. So I kind of got that as a kid, not understanding really what it meant. But I think my first glimpse of military life was when I went to military school. So I'll back up, and I think in 2002, we moved to Bend. We came here from Iowa on a whim, picked up and left. Small town Iowa where nothing was really growing and you didn't have opportunity for success. And then we came here. Again, not really molded into my mind that that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be military. I wanted to be a sports star. That's what I really wanted to do. I wanted to be a sports star. But the reality is the 1% are the sports stars. So when I went to high school, I realized I just didn't like school. I didn't like to be at school. It wasn't because I was a bad kid. I wasn't getting in trouble. I wasn't learning, or I wasn't not learning. I didn't want to be tied down all day. So that's when I was suggested to go to this military program. And at first it really scared the heck out of me. Just thinking of military is hard, stern, yelling. But I knew I had to do it to better myself. So when I got there, believe it or not, the first 4 or 5 days really, really sucked, not having my family and the yelling. But I almost took on a liking for the criteria. I knew what I was doing with my day. I knew that I was up at 6, I was PTing at 7, I was eating breakfast by 8, and by 9 I was in school. I didn't have any other distractions but that. And I really took a liking to that somehow, some way, in this miserable setting where you've just been taken from your family as a young kid who always just wanted to hang out with his friends and be with his friends and watching TV, playing video games, and suddenly it's all stripped away from you, but you have this sense of you have a path. You have a path. And where I was, I didn't have a path. And I think that's the first time I really, really realized that the military or something like it's for me. It's lasted 6 months, and I'd say the second month, a Marine Corps recruiter came in. And the first thing I remember is his uniform. Tight lines, he had his sleeves rolled, big muscly guy. I said, I'm going to be a Marine. So he came into the classroom and he said, here's what I'm doing. I'm a recruiter, but who's interested in the military? And of course I rose my hand, and there was probably 10 of us. So he took those 10 of us into a room. And he said to us, I understand that you're interested in being in the military, but here's what the Marine Corps is. And he explained it to us. And about 6 out of those 10 hands said, not for me. I said, that's what I want to do. And the thing that got me was he said, we're the best. We are the best. And I'm sure everybody says that, right? The Army, the Navy. But to me, when he said it with conviction and the best, we're the best. So I said, that's what I'm going to do.
May I ask you?
Yes, ma'am.
What were some of the things that made the other students, the 6 that said no, what was it that frightened them?
Mm-hmm. So I think what frightens most is when they say it's 13 weeks of hell. This isn't, you're not going and getting on a computer on Saturday or calling mom on Sunday and or even Monday after work. Call them, you're there for 13 weeks and it is hard nosed. We're running, we're training, we're going to make you the best. You're going to be the best. So I'd already come this far in military school, so I didn't want to stop. I wanted to keep going, particularly from my parents. I had failed my parents in high school, not necessarily with getting in trouble with the law or being a bad kid. I wasn't a bad kid. I'd failed them in the sense that there's certain expectations for a 16, 17-year-old to meet, especially those who are playing sports, and especially those whose parents are successful and who've done this before, and with another child, and that child's been successful. So I realized that, gosh, I really made some mistakes, but I'm going to make it up. I'm going to make me the best I can be and go do this. So I think the turnoff for the Marine Corps is just the toughness. It's a hard-nosed 13-week, and I can tell you now, afterwards, it wasn't easy. And the 6 out of the 10 that probably dropped their hands probably wouldn't have lasted. And I think that recruiter comes in and tells you that because he doesn't want those guys. He wants the best. He wants the best to come. So I felt like, gosh, I could be the best. I can be, an Army soldier's awesome. And gosh, I worked with a lot of them, and they're just like me. They're no different. They're no stronger. They're no weaker. They don't have any more skills than I do, but just the name Marine, and you can ask Army soldiers, carries itself. They know we're hard-nosed. We train hard. We don't, there's no slacking. It's all training. So I had written a letter home, and I told Mom and Dad. Mom and Dad weren't impressed. And this was 2006, 2007. So it was during the Iraq War. So and it was shortly after, if I remember correctly, Randy Newman from Ben had passed away. And I remember watching that on TV and feeling that, even as a kid, seeing a hometown guy, it affected him so many miles away. So I could see they're scared. But I told them that I wouldn't be infantry. I promised I won't go be infantry. My dad said, okay, let's continue on the process. And he sent out Navy recruiters, and there were Coast Guard recruiters that came to see me, and it wasn't for me. I wanted to be a Marine. I wanted the dress blues. I wanted the dress blues. That was my factor. I wanted to be slick standing, hard trained. When people look at you, they say, no, that's the best. That's what I wanted to be. So I remember telling Mom and Dad, they weren't impressed, and so came the time to go to my first trip up to Portland, up to MEPS. And that was different, seeing all of these kids that wanted to be the best. It wasn't just me. So that motivated me even more. I want to be better. I want to be the best. I want to be better. So I came back from MEPS. I hadn't signed yet, but I decided that that's what I was going to do. Almost signing my letter of commitment as a college football player. I was going to go to the Marine Corps. That's what I was going to do. So graduation time came, and all through the time, the recruiter, his name was Sergeant Tryon, who now just retired as Gunnery Sergeant Tryon. Just a very, very humble, and coming out to that military school made me feel at home. He made me feel comfortable, and he still does. I still talk to him today. I could tell you 1,000 different conversations that I had with him, and he said, dude, you got to stop. You got to stop letting your parents down, and just trying to make me better before I'd even signed a paper that said I want to be with you on your team. Just constantly digging at me, make yourself better. Hey, better grades. So I graduated the program, and he was right by my side when I did, and he just said, just stay on the right path. You're going to be a Marine. So I graduated in August. The next year, April 2008, I went up and I signed my contract. And April 17th, 11th. What was it, April 12th. Right. And Mom and Dad's anniversary, the day my brother signed his letter of intent to go play college football, and the day that I signed my Marine Corps contract. So that's how I got to the Marine Corps. It was almost like God was saying, go make yourself better, go be the best, and that's why I joined the Marine Corps, and it's history after that, right?
Well, that's the history I want to know.
So I joined in April of 2008. I signed what's called a delayed entry program. So I signed to leave in August 2008. August 24th was my arrival date into MCRD San Diego. So I had a few months in there to go back to my old ways. And the recruiter would call me once a week. Hey, how's your nose? They always ask me, how's your nose? I say it's clean. I said, good to go. How's school going? How's classes going? I was a brother already, and I hadn't even crossed the threshold, and he made me. So August, I went to boot camp. I got there, and I got to tell you, boot camp was really easy for me because I had been in military school. I had done the push-ups. I'd got the screaming at me. I had done the 52-man shower. I'd done the no-door stalls. I'd done all that. So for these other kids, it's almost culture shock, just like it was for me a year prior in military school. So it wasn't easy physically, the mental part, which for me I have found throughout my military career is really the only complicated part. Physically, you can get through anything that your mind tells you can get through. If your mind says you can get through it, it's going to suck a little bit, but you can get through it. So boot camp was fairly easy. I signed up to be a 0621, a field radio operator. And the reason I did that is because my mom, you've never heard this, but my recruiter said, you don't have to be infantry, but you can go work with the infantry guys if you're a radio operator. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be, when you see the videos of the guys breaking down doors and going and getting the bad guys, that's what I wanted to do. If I was going to be the best, I wanted to be the best. So I was a field radio operator. So I got out of boot camp and I went straight to 29 Palms, California, which is where radio school is. I spent 3 months there in radio school, and they sat I think there was 30 of us in class, and they sat all of us down and they said, to go back, we got to pick our top 3 duty stations where we wanted to go. And I think I picked San Diego, Hawaii, and then Japan. Those are my 3 I really wanted to go. So they sat us all down in this classroom and they said, okay, so-and-so you're going to San Diego, so-and-so you're going to Hawaii. Mazziotti, you're staying right here, 29 Palms. So I was like, okay, well, and I don't know if anybody knows anything about 29 Palms, but it's rough. It's there's nothing there besides the military base, and it's the best military base in the world. It's the biggest military base in the world per square mile. Not necessarily the biggest stores and barracks, but we're the main training facility for free deployment for Marines and for Army.